Hi guys, good morning. So this will be topic four of light and optics. So for today, we'll be looking at some optical devices. So optical devices will obviously will be those devices that like those are the devices that will use light. Okay, and you probably have a feeling you know this already, but might as well just discuss them. So the first one will be microscope, and you will see here um, there are lenses here that somehow bends or refracts the light, and we know from experience and from our previous discussion that somehow if you will be able to bend the light, you can actually make it small, you can actually make the image smaller or bigger. So microscope combine the power of at least two lenses. So you can think of it as, say, a battery, right? When a battery is placed uh, next to each other, and you can increase the voltage, right? So it's the same uh, with the microscope. um, so the eyepiece here actually multiplies the length or the size of an object by 10, and then if you have another lens that multiplies the size of an object by 10, then you have 10 times 10, you have magnified the image by 100 times. Um, so you see here you have an eyepiece and an objective. So how does a microscope work? Light waves are bent as they travel through the glass. So you will see here, uh, this is the light source, okay, and it travels there, and you will see here that this part here, um, it says here specimen. Actually, there is a need. So if the light source will be from the bottom, there is a need for the one preparing the slides to cut the specimen really thin in order for light to pass through. Um, I don't know if you were able to use the microscope that we have in class. The light source will not be coming from the bottom but from the top. So somehow we will be seeing the light reflected from the specimen from the top, and then reflected back to the lens, and you will see the final image here. So you have like the newer microscopes now, they don't have a light source from the bottom. They have LED light source from the top. So like shining the light here and then reflecting the light going upwards. So you'll see the image. Lenses bend diverging light into parallel paths of the light bent into smaller focus of the eye. And last time we also did use a microscope, and I know that you've noticed that somehow if you're moving it to the right, the object is moving to the left. If you're moving it up, the object is moving downwards. That makes sense. And the image of the object is somehow flipped, right? Yeah, it's because of the bending of the light, right? Bending of the light. So you will see here, light is bent here, obviously flipping the image and flipping the image here. So and so on. So that's how a microscope works. Okay. um so another one is a telescope. So what do telescopes allow us to do? Well, we can see far objects, faint objects. Okay. um and it's amazing, like Galileo, the first few scientists who studied the stars, they did use telescopes. Okay, see distant object in more detail. Telescopes collect and magnify the light. Okay, like a magnifying glass. So first developed in 1608 by Hans Lippershey, um, made famous by Galileo, who studied the night sky. And Galileo actually discovered the planets by observing the stars, and he noticed that every night, so he will be looking at the stars. He sort of would, you know, capture the image of the stars, and he noticed that there are some stars that are moving. Okay, that are moving, and and okay, he discovered some of them, and um, they are called planets. They're not actually stars, but they are called planets. They're nomads. They're moving, always in the move. Okay. Discovered mountains and craters on the moon. Discovered moons orbiting Jupiter. So that's how important telescopes are. Made of series of lenses and mirrors. Okay. Obviously, the more light allowed by the lens, the more we can see better. The clearer the image. So gather and focus light, and then magnify the light connected. So larger area of the lens, the greater the ability to see faint light, and that's why the Hubble Space Telescope, it's a huge telescope that will allow a lot of light to pass through that lens, and allowing it to see, distant galaxies and stars and so on. And so we have a refracting telescope. From the word itself, refracting, it will bend the light. So in this case, you have this. So the light is bent here, and it will be focused on your eyes. Okay, first time a telescope made. Use two lenses to gather and focus light. So maybe if you have two magnifying glasses at home, you can just try, moving the magnifying glass and so on, and hopefully and eventually you'll be able to create that. You'll be able to create your own telescope. You can mount them in, a tube, like a cardboard tube, and then you have your own telescope, right? That can be an experiment at home too. Reflecting telescope is works this way. The light coming from the outside will hit the uh, concave mirror here, and then we know that somehow those lights will meet at the center. Now those two lights will be reflected by another mirror to your eyes. Now, reflecting telescopes will be a lot better because somehow you can create really huge mirrors, right? So really, really huge mirrors without the mirror bending, because you can support it at the bottom. The problem with refracting telescope, I'm going to show you the image again. So this one. So what do you think will be the problem if I will create a really huge refracting lens, right? Since it's really huge, it's heavy, the middle part will maybe okay, the middle part will start to sag, and then obviously the bending of the light now will be difficult, right? And it can actually break if it's really heavy. So that is one challenge. So that's one of the problems of refracting telescopes, and that's why um, a lot of like huge facilities that studies the stars, and that you know um, uses huge mirrors, okay, to reflect the light. So use mirrors to gather light, focus light, and can be made very large. So that's the advantage. Okay, another thing that you probably always use, and you probably have one at home, will be binocular. So you get the light from both sides here, and then the light will be reflected through. So it's a combination of um, lens and refracting lens and mirrors. So you have the lenses here, and then you have the mirrors, reflected, and then through the eyepiece. So two short refracting telescopes fixed together, and that's it. So that's topic 5. I'll be back to discuss topic. Sorry, that's topic 4. I'll be back to discuss topic 5. And yeah, God bless you all.